everybody, and welcome to the final partial review of Total Drama 2023. My name is Silly Billy, but you can call me Billy. I have finally finished watching all the episodes. Sorry for making you wait so long. And in this video, I want to quickly share with you some of my opinions of the new season. I'll refer to the last 3 episodes mostly, but I'll also talk a lot about the season as a whole. This video is not going to be a big review of the show just yet, mainly because I want to let the season sink in a little and rewatch it once or twice before I do, but I do want to share my initial thoughts with you. Oh yeah, also, while I tried to incorporate some spoiler-free thoughts last time, I think it's pretty much unavoidable for these last bits, so expect to be spoiled if you're watching this video. With that being said, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Don't make me bring out the subscriber stats, and let us begin. In these last few reviews, you have heard me be very pleased with the new Total Drama season, and this final review isn't any different from that. My goodness, do I absolutely love this new season. I was a little bit hesitant beforehand, but I am so incredibly happy to say that this is the best Total Drama season we have gotten, maybe since World Tour? The last 3 episodes were filled with tension as Bowie and Julia came closer towards eliminating each other, similar to Heather and Alejandro in World Tour. And then with the additional threat of Millie's notebook lingering in the air, this ending was very, very good. Reason for that is mainly the characters themselves. Total Drama, and especially the earlier seasons of this show, were always very good at taking a stereotype and exploring the person behind it, basically taking their one trait or attribute as the starting point from which they develop a personality. And Total Drama 2023 has exactly the same approach. So many of these characters are more multi-dimensional than they initially let on, and it makes for a cast that is thoroughly rootable. It's crazy that even though my prediction for the 2 finalists was right from a certain point, I kept being uncertain about who would be in the finale. I mean, I was certain that Millie wouldn't be there, and even that turned out to be wrong. These characters follow the perfect formula for a Total Drama character, and to me that makes them so human. Even if most of them are completely over the top, you'd have no hard time imagining a Julia or a Priya in real life. Heck, you might even recognize yourself in a couple of these guys. The challenges themselves this season have not been the greatest. Again, I'm struggling to remember what exactly all of them were, and I come straight from watching them. I appreciate them switching between normal Survivor challenges and then dinosaurs, giant monsters, and pirate ships on the other side, like it's equally likely, but that also means that some of the challenges are not as thought-provoking as others. And then some were just farts. To summarize the ending in 2 words though, so cute! I adored how the show wrapped up, and even though Millie's book was foreshadowed several episodes prior, I got so invested when it actually happened. Really sad for all parties involved. And then there's just Bowie being one of the most enjoyable villains, smirking in the foreground. Like I said, I'll need to have another look to lock in on some of the bigger criticisms of this show, but for now all I can say is that I'm just so incredibly excited that this is the season we ended up with. Alright, for this next section I thought of something that might be fun to go over, and that is that about a year or so ago I made a hopes and predictions video about the new Total Drama season. And now I'm actually really curious how much of that came to fruition. Starting with the predictions and then going to the hopes. The first prediction I made was that the season wouldn't air until 2023. Mind you that this prediction was made at the start of June last year, when we were all still fully counting on the season releasing near the end of the year. And honestly, I don't mind that this one turned out right. I would rather that they spend enough time on the episodes themselves than rush out a half-arsed season just because they want to meet this arbitrary deadline. Continuing on with my number 4 expectation, I think the animation quality of this season will be the best we have ever seen. This one easily came true as well. The animation was not only the crispiest that it has ever been, but they also did a whole lot with new and inventive shots that they never really attempted before this. The big highlight, of course, being the walk towards the elimination. I adored that every single time. For my number 3 expectation, I expect that the new Total Drama seasons will feature cameos from the original Total Drama cast. This one was sorta true in the end. We did get a couple of cameos here and there, Owen in the first episode of course, but also Rock and Spud on the plane, and a couple of other examples and hints here and there, but honestly, I expected an actual contestant to come back. Now knowing that there's been a time jump between this season and the prior ones, and that some of the old casts are now grown up, or maybe even dead, I'm not really surprised that they didn't show any of them, but I wasn't really expecting a time jump to begin with, so let's call this one semi-true? First off, I think we will see something similar to Mike's elimination in Revenge, where the winner of the second season will be eliminated just after the merge of the first season. Well, we have no idea if this is true just yet, but I feel like we have a couple of very solid options if this does end up happening. If it has to be just after the merge, then Wayne and Raj are both decent options as finalists, though they would require significantly more development development and fleshing them out a little more apart from one another. So I'd say lose one a little earlier and then focus on the other one more. In which case Raj currently feels like the better choice to make a finalist, although Wayne could very much be interesting as well. But if we look a little bit further than that, both Ripper and Z feel like amazing finale material. The second prediction I have concerning the elimination order is that one of the LGBTQ characters will make it to the finale. Yeah, there's just no way around this. I was completely right on this one. I'm just that good. Coming in as my biggest expectation for this new season, the seasons will probably not be up to the standard of previous seasons. God, I am so happy to get this one wrong. Ultimately, it's subjective, of course, but I feel like this season is pretty darn good. And I'd argue it's tying with Revenge for best 13-episode season, if not topping it. And yeah, I make the distinction for a reason, because once again, Total Drama 2023 shows us that 13 episodes is not enough time to develop your cast. Here it's not that bad because we know that all of them will be back for season 2, but still, you can just fit so less story and development into half the length of one of the OG seasons or the Redunculus race. And it shows, mostly in characters that are stuck in the pre-merge at the moment, and I hope we get a little more screen time from, I want to say all of them, but not please don't, no, not all of them. We don't need all of them. Just everyone except MK, maybe not Nichelle. Anyway, then for the hopes, starting with, I hope that this season is not too cringy. I say this came to fruition well. Especially the extreme TikToking challenge never came to be, and I am just so very thankful for that. There are some moments here that some people think are really cringe, such as, "Hey, what's up? I'm here to slay," being the opening line to the theme song, but personally, I never really minded that. There are some cringe moments here and there, but overall it's nowhere near as what I was fearing it might be. For the number 4 of our hopes list, and this is quite a controversial one, I hope that the old generations of characters do not make a return as contestants. Again, I think we can only draw a conclusion on this once the second season is fully out, but as it seems right now, they're not going to do this, and I'm still really happy. Fight me. Coming in at my third biggest hope for this season, I really hope that Chris can be his normal self again. Yes! Oh yes, we got it! Or well, not really? Huh? Island Chris is still pretty chill with the other contestants, whereas 2023 Chris doesn't really care much for their well-being. But this Chris is far less over-the-top supervillain than in his last couple of appearances, and I adore this new approach to the character. He's a little sillier too, and it's surprising how easy McGurran's voice is to get used to as Chris after 6 seasons of Potenza being the voice. For my second biggest wish, I really hope that they do the representation justice. It's incredible how well this is going. Yep, we also got this. The gay characters in this season are normal people. Who'd have thunk? Or well, normal is always a far stretch in Total Drama terms, but we did get a normalized inclusion. Bowie is your wandering gay stereotype, but that actually makes sense in a show that is known for mocking every stereotype imaginable. What makes his portrayal work instead of feeling insulting, however, is that, just like with so many other characters, gayness isn't his only trait. Bowie's also athletic, a gossiping diva, and a very strategical player. He's even one of the main villains. Unlike a lot of Netflix dramas, Bowie isn't the gayest gay to ever be gayed, and I love it. The other gay inclusion, Raj, hasn't quite figured out that he's gay just yet, but once again, they don't make his discovery the main focus of the season. But it is just a fun, well-handled side story that is wrapped up within a couple of episodes. No gigantic underdog story of Raj struggling with his identity for a majority of the season. But instead, he takes a couple of episodes to find the right moment. God, are you bad at finding the right moment? Wayne is happy and supports him, Raj and Bowie kiss, and bazinga, the story is nicely wrapped up. Again, unlike Hollywood nowadays, the story doesn't endlessly meander on how gay Raj is. Hello, fans! Look, he's gay! Look at how empowering he is! Yeah! Go, my gay little icon! Woo-hoo-hoo! Have you noticed his gayness? Check out the gay on this guy! We are so inclusive! Raj and Bowie are both gay without it defining their whole personality, and I loved it. Please, anyone making a series, take inspiration from how it's done here. Which brings me to my biggest hope for the new seasons. I hope they will be good. Once again, subjective, but yeah, I think this season is pretty good. Like I said, it might be the best 13-episode season we have so far. Pretty anticlimactic one to end on, but hey, I guess that fits with the video I'm referencing. Okay, moving on to the final tier list update. Alright, let's do this. This is the final tier list update that we're going to be doing. I am going to remove everybody from the tier list one final time. Let's disregard all previous bias. That being said, I also have a normal tier list for a change with the S, A, B, C, D, not the Elemento stuff. I think the joke has run its course. I think we need to do one proper tier list to end the season on. I'll try to do this in the order of their elimination, but if I make a mistake, then I don't do it in the order of their elimination. So let's just see how far we get with this. Starting out with Hotman himself, Caleb. Caleb, to me, I think he's been, okay, for me it was D tier back then. Now it's C tier. I think this is still very consistent for Caleb. Caleb was a fun idea who really didn't get to shine at all in this season, but also he didn't really get to show anything that I dislike so far. We just didn't see him at all, basically. And I'm really curious what they're going to do with him in the next season, and that is going to determine his actual position in this tier list. Because right now, with only one episode and one line in the finale, it's way too hard to tell. So, no, Caleb going in C tier. Continuing to Axel, it's not starting off too good here. Axel's going in my lowest tier, and that is not per se because I dislike Axel. Wait, you know what? Actually, Axel, you can go one tier up. Axel was fun. Same thing though, I think there's a lot of wasted potential here, and I really want to see Axel in a more prominent role in the next season. Otherwise, he's going to stick a little around here, but I feel like Axel could be here, maybe even here, but I don't know. But for now, it's just this, because we have nothing shown from Axel just yet that really makes me go, ah, yes, this is the character that I love. Not really good representation from the pre-mergers here, because Nichelle is even worse. She goes into D tier, being the first character to do so. Nichelle has the same problem as Caleb and Axel, but at least Caleb and Axel were somewhat enjoyable in the episodes they were on. And Nichelle I just didn't really like. To me, there's not really a point of bringing a character like Nichelle to the show. I don't think she learns a whole lot from this. I didn't find it particularly enjoyable to watch this character be on screen and pretend she's all this great, and then she isn't. And her entire story is also wrapped up in one episode. Nichelle could have been the first boot if they introduced that twist earlier. In which case, I still wouldn't have liked her, but at least Caleb could have shown a little more of his personality. I don't know. No, Nichelle is not it for me. I really did not like Nichelle, and I'm curious for what she's going to do next season, but also not really. Nichelle is forgettable. Like, Nichelle I'd be fine with if they don't ever do something with again, whereas Caleb and Axel would just be, that would be a shame. Scary Girl going into A tier. I think Scary Girl's joke was fun. I'm not as super mega fan of it anymore as I was at the first time watching it, but I still think it's really fun. But there's a big difference, because Scary Girl, when she's creepy, when she's unexpected, she is phenomenal. She is so incredibly funny when she is. But when Scary Girl goes like, ee-hee, blood, ee-hee, death, ee-hee, suffering, that only works once, maybe twice, but not every episode. And that for me became Scary Girl at a certain moment. And then it was a combination of the both. So for the unexpected stuff, the laughing at the camera and going, if you want to hide a body, clap your hands. That is phenomenal. I really like that. And then paired with the giggle and the repeating a bad word stuff. And that's not it for me. So A tier I think is fine. I hope Scary Girl gets some more development next season. For now, A tier is fine. A tier is maybe even a little too high. But then people would come to my door and cancel me, because I predicted correctly that Scary Girl would be one of the fan favorites, and yep, well, she really was. Anyway, A tier for Scary Girl seems fine. I really enjoyed Scary Girl for the time that she was on. Damien is next. Where is Damien going? I think A tier is fine for Damien as well. Damien was a fantastic character in my opinion. It's a shame though that he got so little to do on this season. And I hope that if he returns next season, it's more of his frantic, what the heck is happening? But I don't think it will be. And that's a little sad, because that was the part that I enjoyed so much about Damien. Him being clueless about his surroundings, about what was going on, just What is going on? What is happening here? That panic, I love that about Damien's character. And I think that if he's coming back next season, well, he is coming back, but in his next season's appearance, I feel like maybe he adjusted a little bit to the role, and then he's probably going to become a main character, and he's going to be a mainstay of the season, potentially winning it. And I hope that doesn't mean they just make him a cool character. That would be a waste for me. I want Damien's franticness. I want Damien to be his chaotic self. And then I love this character so much. So yeah, we'll see what the next season brings for him. MK being next. MK goes straight into D tier. If there's even an order in one of these lists, then MK is definitely at the bottom. I don't like MK. Just not at all. Just no. MK is also a character I would be fine with if we lose her in the second season early and just never have her on again. But I feel like MK is going to play a more prominent role, and I really don't wanna, because MK is not funny, MK is not witty, MK is not as clever as she thinks she is. MK, she was sassy. No, she wasn't sassy. She was snarky for the hell of it, and that was all MK had to offer, and I just don't like her at all. We'll see though. Maybe she gets a fun story where she's this strategic mastermind taking revenge on Julia and such, but I don't know. I'm not looking forward to MK in this season. Then we got to the merge. Yes, a 10-person merge is still insane to me. Starting out with Wayne. I think Wayne gets A tier. Wayne was so incredibly fun. Wayne wasn't really a character designed for development, but he did get a fun role in playing in Raj's development and discovering himself a little bit. He was just fun. That's really all there was to Wayne. There wasn't a big story with this guy. He was just fun. He had good jokes. He was nice to look at. No, not in that way, you pervert. He was fun to have on screen. He was fun. And Raj, it kind of feels weird to put him in any lower tier. I've seen people put them not in the same tier, but Raj and Wayne are pretty much the same character. And of the two, I think I too prefer Wayne over Raj. But yeah, I'm not gonna put Raj here because they had the same level of jokes, they had the same level of funness. Raj got a little bit more development on his own with the Bowie arc, and I feel like next season we might see them split up, or we might see them both eliminated really quick. That are, I think, the two options. One of them is dropping out soon, and the question is, will the other person join them? But either way, I really enjoyed Wayne and Raj on this show. I think they got dropped too soon, but then again, there were so many fun characters, and if there was a moment to drop them, it probably had to be now. Because nobody was going to vote these guys out, right? They were too fun. So I think they handled it the best way they could. Next up, we're in our streak of losing the male characters. They're all going except for Bowie here. Ripper is next. Ripper goes straight into S tier. Ripper might be one of my favorite characters this season. Tying with only one other person, which we'll hear about in a second. Ripper was so incredibly fun to me. They hinted at a character which had a deeper layer than what they show on the surface, and I feel like it's Ripper, and I adore him. I think they did it so well. Ripper, to me, is the more subtle version of Duncan. Being a bully, but then secretly being really nice as well, but not forcing it in your face like Luke. He's guiding a bunny with a carrot. Can we make it more obvious? Look, there's almost a floating arrow above his head saying, look, nice guy, right here, ding, ding, ding. Not so much with Ripper, though. He is actually really nice, but also mean, but also nice, but also mean. He wants people to like them, but not really, but he kind of does, and Ripper is so cute. I love Ripper so incredibly much, and I hope most of all that Ripper gets his development next season. I think it's pretty well foreshadowed now. Give him this arc. Give him this final 5 role. Give him the win. Give him the win. That would be so cool. Oh man, I can't wait to see Ripper next season. And he doesn't go out in the pre-merge. I think it makes sense a little to drop him there, but I really hope that he gets the story that he deserves because Ripper is so fun. Next up, tying with Ripper is Z. Z was the comedic gold character of this season. I laughed at basically every line that this man spat out. I think he was so incredibly funny. But not only that, he was a really endearing character to have on screen. He was so wholesome in the way that he thought and how simple his mind worked, and I think they told every fun joke they could have told with his character. What is his role next season? I don't know. I think it's a bit of the same case with Ripper, where he could go either very early or he goes very late, like win material late, and I hope it's the latter. because I was so sad when Z had to go. That being said, when he did eventually go with his whole one team alliance of all 7 players in the show trying to boot off Chris, it was a perfect way to end his character, and it's so sad he went when he did, but it made a lot of sense too. Yeah, Ripper and Z are definitely my favorite characters of this new season. Next up, Chase. Chase is going into A tier as well. Chase was so funny. There seems to be this weird division between people loving Chase and hating Chase. I'm on neither side, I think, but I do think Chase was really funny. And his obliviousness was really great. And let's put Emma next to him, because Emma was also very great. I was rooting for Emma to win it at a certain point in time. It makes sense that she didn't, but I think it would be a fun inclusion to have her there. Either way, I really like Chase and Emma's interactions this season. While I do think the ending is a bit toxic, I feel like it's going to be explored further in the next season. I think Chase and Emma both have a little bit more of their story to tell. Maybe with Chase being a very early boot and Emma getting some development on her own. It's weird how they portray Emma as the bad guy in the show at a certain point in time, even though we all know it's Chase. And it's weird that Chase is never really punished for his behavior. I mean, he gets the pizza and he gets the girl and then he just goes home and being none the wiser. Maybe that's the entire point that they were going for, but yeah, I think they were really fun. Coming into the final 4, we have Julia. I think Julia is going into A tier as well. A tier is getting crowded, but there were so many cool characters in this season. Recently, it came to my attention that they revealed a couple of post notes thingies, little title cards of what the characters are going to be, and that spoils Julia as the main villain of the season. Why? Why would you tell that? That is the big twist of Julia's character that makes her so fun. But then again, I believe we talked about this in the last video as well. Julia, when she is sassy evil, she's pretty generic. It reminds me very much of a combination of Heather in Island and Heather in World Tour, with Heather in World Tour part being that she really desperately wants to get rid of one person, being Alejandro, and in this case Bowie, and then the mean bitch stuff of Island. That made up Julia's character, and I think she was really fun, but I feel like she could have been approached a bit different. Regardless, Julia was really... I fall in repetition here, but there's so many fun characters in this new season. Julia was really fun. And speaking of really fun, Millie also goes into A tier, because Millie was also really cute. Now, Millie, for the longest time in the season, I had her in B tier, and I felt like she needed this little spark to push her either to the top or either to the bottom. And she did, and she pushed herself to the top, because Millie and Priya in the final episode, I thought it was so incredibly cute. Millie and Priya's friendship was so incredibly natural. It was so endearing to watch. I was rooting for these characters, even though I didn't really care for either of them. They had such a wholesome, cute friendship together, to the point that I thought we might have a second LGBT inclusion in this season, and maybe that's something they want to go for in the next season. But then again, I also kind of commend them for people can be friends without them necessarily being romantic partners. But if you're going to make 2 friends romantic partners, then of course you need to go with the Force of Habit. You need to go with Priya and Millie, because the 2 work so well and they're so cute together and they clearly love each other, but not necessarily in that way. I didn't quite enjoy Millie's shtick for the entire season, but towards the end it really paid off, and it made for a very good ending to this friendship and this arc. And then we have the final 2. Well, technically we kind of know that Priya is the main winner, because there's only one ending out so far, and that is where Priya takes the win. So let's talk about Bowie first. Bowie goes straight into S tier. Bowie was fantastic. Bowie was what I just described I wish Julia was. He was a villain, but in a far better, no, not necessarily better, but in a completely different way that we've seen so far. He's the gossiper, he's the snitch, he has the strategic skills, but he's also pretty athletic. Bowie was it was such a new character for me, and I loved having him on screen. On top of that, with his gay mannerisms and such, I think it was pretty fun. I still haven't heard anybody be offended by his gay stereotypes. 1 or 2 persons have expressed some doubts about this, but then again, I think they handled it with dignity, and to be honest, I'm not really surprised if you see Terry McGurran, because he seems like a really cool guy who is definitely an ally. Yeah, he cares about this stuff. He cares about doing it right, and I think it shows. Let me know if you happen to be part of the LGBT community, especially if you happen to be gay. Let me know in the comments if you think Bowie is offensive to you. I don't think he is, but then again, I'm straight, so what do I know? That's actually also a kind of a toxic thing to include. I should have a say in this, even though I'm straight. Anyway, I don't want to make this political. I don't have the energy for that. I loved Bowie. I absolutely adored Bowie. I think he's been at the top for all but one tier list. And in general, yeah, Bowie was a fantastic choice to take to the finale. Bowie is also one of the villains that I would have loved to see win, which is crazy because I never have this. I didn't have it with Heather. I didn't have it with Courtney. I didn't have it with Alejandro. Definitely not with Alejandro. Not with Scott. Not with okay, a little with Mike. But it was Mike. It wasn't Mel. Either way, now I'm summing up all the characters in the show, which I'll leave the short series to do that. Bowie is probably the first villain of which I wanted them to be one of the winners. That is insane. Then you did a good job. And finally, we have Priya, and I think I'm going to make A tier a little more crowded because I think I've been a little harsh on Priya. Oh, there's an ad in screen. Hi, ad. Priya, I think I've been a little harsh too, but then again, I don't really think I was. To me, Priya just didn't work just yet. She was the generic main character girl. I was initially pretty upset that she got to take the win. Of all the characters, you really went with Priya, who is pretty basic, with her only trait that her parents desperately want her to win this. Wouldn't a story where she discovers that she doesn't want this for herself be far more satisfying than actually giving her the win? But then towards the end, like I said, with the Millie friendship, with how that I kind of imploded, with how she reacted to that, Priya became a definite favorite character for me this season and a definite favorite to take home the win. I've said some things about Priya that I now regret. One of them being that Priya was too overpowered in the show. Because really she isn't. There's a lot of challenges that she really struggles with. She is really strong, but unlike characters that are designed to be really strong, Sky, she has flaws, and those flaws come from her being one of the strong characters. She may be a strong force, but she has no idea what her influence on the friendship with her and Millie is. Like, Millie, for as cuckoo as she is about writing a book about other contestants, has definitely some right about being upset about how Priya is treating her for most of the season because she does not seem to realize what she's doing to Millie, even though it's all out of love. So yeah, I think this is going to be the final tier list. There's no B tier character because either a character hasn't worked out their potential yet. There's two characters I really did not like. These guys still have to prove that they are part of the A crew. And then these characters were all fantastic. And on a season of 16 characters, 16, where only 4 of them are not as amazing as the rest and 12 are amazing or better, that is spectacular. So I have to, as a final closure, really commend the writers for Total Drama 2023. I think it was a fantastic season. I still need to make up my mind about how fantastic it exactly was. I think it was everything we hoped it would be. It definitely showed that the writers still know how to make Total Drama. It definitely shows potential for Total Drama in the future. I'm really excited for the next season. I am really curious how they're going to do that and if they can keep up this level of intense quality that they've shown in this season. And I'm so curious what this means for the future of Total Drama as a brand. Will there be a new season? I don't know. Maybe not. But then again, before Total Drama 2023, I was pretty sure that Total Drama wasn't coming back. And look at what we have right now. So, thank you to the writers and the creators of Total Drama 2023 for this amazing experience. And thank you guys for joining me on this episode and waiting a little bit because it took a little while to make this video. And thank you so much for watching, of course. If you really like this episode, please consider joining me down below. You can either subscribe or you can join me in the YouTuber program thingy, which I now made. You can join my community. Just do it. It's fun. You get videos a little earlier than other people. You get special emotes you can use in the chats. You get a little badge designed by Jam. I hope. Oh, I need to bug Jam if he's finished those already. Either way, there's a lot of fun benefits, and currently this all goes to making better videos, hopefully getting enough money to hire an editor at some point. That would be fantastic. So if you want to help me achieve that dream, and as a result have me make better and more videos, then please join me down below. But for now, I thank you for watching. This has been Silly Billy, and remember, I am a god when it comes to predictions. Howdy!